Hello, and today we want to talk about leadership and very simply two things. What makes a good leader and what is leadership? Or in the reverse, what is leadership and what makes a good leader? So, who wants to go first?
Well, leadership. I was just learning about it recently, so I don't know a lot about it. What is a good leader and what is leadership? I think leadership is basically enabling other people to do their best towards the same goal. So if you're a lead in a small team, for example, you want to kind of set the vision and mission of that team. Of course, if you don't want to be like a kind of like a dictator, you would talk to your teammate about what you want to do and what are your missions and brainstorm together. And then a good leader would like help individual team members in their team to kind of achieve their goals. Maybe break things down and delegate different responsibilities to different people, and then unblock any hurdles that people might have, and then enable them to do their work, so that you're like the captain of the whole ship. You're sailing towards the same direction where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a good description. It reminds me of a quote I read in this great book, First Things First. So the author says that managing people and leading people is very different. Managing your time, leading your time towards good activities, it's very different. And most of the time we mistake managing things with leadership. When you lead, you enable others to use their strengths to get to where they want to go. When you manage, you sort of put people where you want them to be. So I think that sort of defines leadership for me a bit, making people rise up. Yeah. What do you think, Penny?
Well, I think fundamentally leadership is a service, which is opposite to the way it's viewed in a lot of places. A leadership is an assumption of power.
Yeah.
Most people think. But true leadership is a service. It's a delivery on trust that people have placed in you as you assume that position of power. And therefore, I really feel it should be earned. And good leaders actually have come by their leadership by earning it. And then their following is organic. So for me, leadership is all of those things. It's a service, it's earned, and the power that is vested in it shouldn't be abused. And that brings me to what a good leader is. A good leader is someone who does not abuse that power, who realizes that they have achieved a position where they can do good for all, as opposed to half that we were talking about. Like we see in a lot of governments these days where world leaders are governing for half the people. I don't think that's good leadership. And like you were saying, a good leader kind of combines the whole, and like you were saying, it raises all boats. And that's a sign of good leadership. That's the consequence of good leadership. So I think there are so many misunderstandings and delusions about leadership where it is considered just power and aggression, and I think discussions like this are needed more and more. So people really, and so the converse is true. We should know what leadership is, so we elect good leaders, and we have, we can recognize actually
good leaders.
Right.
True.
I think it's interesting. I think there's certainly, like, things have changed these days. Like in the old days, like when we were like maybe pre-industrial days or something like that, a leader was somebody who would lead you into maybe fight a war or win something together. So there's like this aspect of like you don't question what a leader tells you to do because it's for the common group good, and they always know better. But since like we're more like democratic than before, a leader's role and a leader's what makes a good leader changes. And they should be more inclusive. They should listen to the people, and like support the people too. I find the change pretty interesting. It reflects basically our values, changing values in our society.
You know what you said really, it's so important to leadership that you serve people, right? A good leader must serve people because you're there not to boss people around but to contribute. And how do you contribute? By asking people, what can I do for you? That's how you know how you can improve or make other people rise above with you. And that, I wish we could put that into practice in different areas. Different leaders would do this. And I know you are working on things to get people's opinions and get people to think about what they want, and sort of get people to tell their leaders what they want. And then leaders can be then better leaders. Instead of doing what they think is right, they actually make informed plans and take informed action. So this is very, very good. This is the right mindset towards leadership.
I think so. Going back to the old day model or paradigm, there was actually the sense of noblesse oblige. You've heard of? So noblesse oblige is, if we are in a privileged position, it is our responsibility, we are obliged to help the lower classes or the people under us because of our privilege. It's inverted, right? And the moment we think, oh, we're privileged, and how can we best maintain that, like we were discussing. But in fact, from days of yore, that was very much like true nobility and true gentility required that you took care of people who were otherwise unable to take care of it. So the landlords were supposed to take care of their tenants, supposed to make sure that their farms were successful, that their buildings were habitable, and things like that. And we've totally lost that part and totally have held on to just the power grabbing. And it doesn't serve, because flawed leadership is giving us what we have now, where corporates are working for their stock prices rather than their employees, rather than their consumers, and shoring up profits. To what end?
Exactly.
It's such a failure of leadership. Where you have countries in conflict, it is a failure of leadership. As simple as that.
So the current, sorry, go ahead.
And because leadership also should define the systems, should identify rot, should, this is what a leader does. You weed out things that are no longer worthy, and you put into practice, progressive things, productive things. And if you don't do that, you failed. Failed. Like,
I think what's important, what's interesting in our modern society is that leadership's structure is changing. Before it was like a pyramid, like you have group serving another layer and another layer serving another layer and all the way to the top. But a lot of companies these days, they want to have the inverse pyramid, or they say they do anyway, especially in technology companies, startups, and something like that. So the leadership is coming from the bottom up, and I think in a lot of projects that I've worked on in the companies, instead of having one leader for a whole project, you have the different project leaders. Maybe you have a program leader, kind of like overseeing the whole thing, but individual pieces are owned by individuals in the group. I think there are benefits to that, So you just don't rely on one person making all the decisions, but you decentralize the decision making and the leadership into different people. You see, maybe an employee could be like in the lowest in terms of rank, but they could lead an initiative and stuff like that. So I think it's a very interesting change of structure of leadership these days.
Good example.
Yeah, and this kind of change like would have different implications.
Yeah.
Like when, especially in smaller companies, smaller organizations, when you feel like you own a piece of the pie, like you own a piece of the production and operation,
Yeah.
you feel more entitled and you feel more more have more incentive to contribute, and you feel like you can be a change agent as well.
You have the power
to make
create
changes
and
yes. So I think like in modern kind of like leadership, it's more one interesting trend is that it's more decentralized.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. And I mean I would like to see that kind of structures, maybe right now it's very prevalent in startups, being a transformative like force in different institutions
that
as
would
well.
be great.
Yeah.
But how do we create better leaders, or how do we, I don't know, encourage our young people to be better leaders of the future? How do you think we could do that?
I think doing projects for me.
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned to you like some countries. I think they're one of the Scandinavian countries. They have new curriculums in school instead of learning different subjects.
Yes,
they actually kind of like form groups.
Bundle up.
Yeah, and then do projects, and each project could touch on every aspect of what they should be studying, like history, economics, technology, maybe physics, chemistry, you name it. Like,
I love that.
Yeah,
I think
so
it's fantastic.
and then that's how the real life works. Like in real life, we don't just do something suddenly about physics and then do something suddenly about economics. It's all like
topic based, theme based, and then other things are included. I wish we would have that here too.
Yes.
In other countries.
Yeah.
That's a great model.
Right. And then when you have team projects, you can have different kids being the team leader, take turns being team leaders,
and
they can
learn
experience
to work
that.
with others,
Yes.
serve others.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and then to segue a little bit laterally, I think we should move away from the idea that we need, like someone needs to lead, and kind of either no one be leaders or all of us be leaders. Just break, because it's that whole thing of giving up your power, which is why if people adopt the idea of leadership as service, then you empower. And actually, you don't need to empower anyone. You simply don't steal their power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
A good leader just allows people their own power.
Yeah.
No need to do something extra. Just don't take it away.
Right.
Yeah.
Because with that because our concept of leadership is so warped, this whole thing of having titles, as we are seeing very prominently in the world, right? A title does not a leader make.
Right, exactly.
And so then it becomes a nonsense, and the whole value of the influence, like a good influence, for me, a leader is just a good influence, whether they have rank, whether they have title, whether they just join the company.
Yeah.
They lead by being.
Exactly.
They lead by example.
Yes.
And they lead by sharing what they know, how they can serve. Like Cosmo told us, there are different leaders in terms of different things, and that's such a great way to put it. You're leading this aspect, you're leading that aspect. Everybody's a leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, a good leader is epitomized by this quote, and I don't think it was particularly about leadership, but it went something like, a good person is like an underground river, which you can't see it, but it makes everything green.
Running deep. Right?
Wow.
Yes, and it's
beautiful
watering and it's
quote,
nourishing, and so for me that is the epitome of leadership, you know, where it's not rah rah beat my chest and I'm so great, but the physical, the visible, you know, consequences and effects of leadership is seen through prosperity of people, through peace.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And I think now that we have sort of touched on what makes a good leader, what's good leadership, I think we have to address why people don't want to do these things. These are such great things, right? Why, like you said, because they don't want to let go of their privilege and they think they might lose it. But this is a false idea. It's like climbing a mountain. You're putting all your energy on making sure the others stay like below you.
Kicking them down.
Yeah, so you never get to go above that point. But if you help others get up, someone will go up and then bring you up with them. And you know, there are great advantages to this kind of leadership because as a whole you just keep improving and growing. And if people see this, they will be more inclined to do this and serve and lead in this way.
Yeah, so maybe the structure of leadership could affect whether or not you have good and effective leaders. If the structure rewards competition and then just reward one person out of all, then you get aggressive kind of like, you know, you lose and I win kind of leader. If the structure support people like could lead very democratic, you know, decentralized kind of leadership, you encourage a whole bunch of people taking leadership, taking ownership, and then help each other along to achieve like the situation you were talking about. So, I mean, whenever you have an organization or like a society or a company, like it's important to pay attention of what kind of leadership structure are you creating. That would make or break, you know, a culture.
Yes. Whether it's dog eat dog or we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, a brilliant example when you said the word competition, and I was just remarking on this a few weeks ago when Federer won the Australian Open. I mean, he, to me, is a great leader. He doesn't lead per se, but he, first of all, is just the ultimate sportsman, and he does it for the joy of it, you know, and he's courteous to his competitors. He's, you know, he wins or loses, he just plays his best. And that's such a brilliant example, you know, of a culture the world can aim towards, you know, to just do something because one, you're good at it, because you can do it, not because someone's going to give you accolades or, you know, pin a badge on you or crown you.
Exactly.
You do it because in doing so you provide value. Provide value is, you know, really key, I think, to being a good leader.
Yeah, exactly.
I think just thinking back of like the leaders that I've had great leaders before where, you know, it goes back to what you were saying, like it's almost invisible. They're just joking and they're really calm and really oriented. You feel like they're not doing work. They're just running around talking to people. But underneath that, there's a lot of work. They go out and negotiate with other parties. They make sure demanding and reasonable things would not fall before their members. They make sure that, you know, whatever project we have, it makes sense.
Yes,
it has a chance of success, and the road to success is very clear. So when the work actually is delegated to you as a team member, you know how to succeed, and you have all the support to succeed. Like you need to succeed. And if there are any hurdles, like I said, they will just clear the way. So that's like an example of great leader. And I've seen leaders on the other side, more Asian oriented, I have to say. They're all about barking orders, telling you what to do, and being very critical or disappointed when they think you deviate from their expectations, and not helping you in any way, not enabling you in any way. And that's a very different style. And I think we learn by example, right? If we see more good examples in society and in the organizations we work in, we'll have better leaders. So I think it's kind of like, you know, something you learn and inherit. So I think good leaders beget good leaders. Yeah.
Yes. And if you ask what we can do, I think recognizing, as we said earlier, recognizing what really is a good leader,
Yeah.
and then, if like bad bosses, if people just stopped accepting their stuff, then
Absolutely.
management would have to do something about it. Do you see
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So we drive our culture, in short.
That is
and
true.
and
If we say yes to these things, they will happen.
yes, yes. So if we want good leaders, we have to rearrange our own thinking. What really is a good leader? What do we
Yeah.
want to see in the world?
Mhm.
And then not just say the words, but act on it.
Yeah,
Like say no.
Yeah.
Walk your talk.
Yes, if the system is not smooth, ask why not,
Yeah. Yeah.
and realize that it is a failure of leadership. It's not,
Yeah.
a fault thing. It's
Yeah.
just people who should be leading are not.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Leading in that area.
yeah, they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
So any further wrap-ups or
Yeah, I think we made
shut this down?
yeah, we made some good points.
All right. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Hi, my name is Cosmo and I'm a user experience designer. I like to use design thinking to promote social good, and I think conversations like this is a great way to start rethinking our world. That's why I'm doing this.
Hello, my name is Ghazala. I'm a big believer in providing people with the right tools to expand their perspective. I'm doing this to bring awareness to us collectively.
Hi, my name is Penny, and I really think the conversations that we have with each other in this world could do with a major upgrade. So that's the reason I'm doing this.